Hiya, it's Mr. Line here, just with a quick exercise to boost your drawing skills. So this is the cardboard box exercise, and it looks probably more complicated than it is. It's actually really quite easy, and it's the whole idea about this is to just really get you used to sketching freehand, to get you sketching boxes freehand, and to get you really practicing those kind of straight parallel lines. Okay, so for today's exercise, all you're going to need is something to draw on. So I'm going to be drawing on a piece of paper. If you're using paper, just make sure you've got 2 or 3 layers there, because you don't want to be drawing straight onto like the hard surface of your table. It's up to you whether you want to sketch in pencil or pen. I am going to be sketching in pen, partly because it's more visible, but also it's a bit of a challenge to myself, and if you choose to use a pen, it's a challenge to you as well, because if it's a pen, unless it's the those friction pens, you can't rub it out, so you have to be you kind of force yourself to be being definite with your lines. So get yourself a pen, get yourself something to draw with, something to draw on, and we'll take you through what it is we're going to be focusing on today. So here we go. So our first aim is to relax. You cannot draw if you are uptight. You cannot draw if you're wound up. You need to relax. So take a few deep breaths, just shake your shoulders out a little bit, and get yourself in a nice calm place. We're also going to we want to embed our sketching of straight lines, and we're going to do this freehand, so no rulers. Don't want to see any rulers today, please. Embed sketching of isometric cuboids, because we should all be able to sketch an isometric cube by now, but we're just going to want to really embed that skill and embed sketching with parallel lines, keeping those lines nice and parallel, nice and straight, and really get to grips with that. So let's get started. So how did we get from a blank page to a page with cardboard boxes on? So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to sketch out about 5 or 6 cubes, and I'm going to make sure that I'm using a really light pen pressure, and this is what we call line weight. So with my pen, I'm just going to make sure that I am just sketching out some faint lines. I'm also going to give myself the permission to turn the page, which is absolutely fine when you're drawing. In fact, it's totally recommended. So I'm going to start off by sketching a number of those. I'm going to come back on once I've got a few more done. Okay, so there you can see I've now managed to get a number of cuboids on my page. We now need to begin thinking about turning these into our cardboard boxes. However, a couple of things I will point out. Notice that my pen pressure is really faint. There's just a kind of like a graze on the page, and it should be the same if you're working with pencil. Doesn't always line up, it's not perfect. Some of the lines go past. It's just these are our construction lines, and we're going to leave those on the page, okay, because they are a communication of the intention of what we're trying to do. So the next thing I need to do is to think about making sure that maybe I want to put a lid on 1 or 2 of my boxes. So the first thing I'm going to do, and this is where we're going to apply more pen pressure, so an increased line weight. So I'm just going to come down here, and I'm going to just start to add in that. I'm going to turn my page. I'm allowed to. I'm the designer. I'm in charge. So here we go. And I'm just going to sketch in that back edge. And you can see there, okay, it's not terribly neat, but it's a communication of what we intend it to be. It is, the lines are wavy and wonky. just like on my original one. But you know, cardboard boxes, they get battered, they get bashed, and that's why we kind of use this as like a nice, easy design exercise, because you know, we don't mind. You know, doesn't matter if you've got these slightly curvy, slightly wonky lines. We're trying to get them parallel. We're trying to get them, keep them nice and neat. But you know what? You know, it's a cardboard box, and we're just trying to kind of get an impression of that on the page. One thing you might notice is that I've just stepped these lines in just a little bit, so that it gives the illusion that the you know, the lid is fitting over the top of the box. So my next job, I'm just going to go and add in some of these lids onto and various other tops on the tops of my boxes. So I'm going to add those on, and then I'll come back on once I've added those on. Okay, so now I've added on some of the extra lids. I've added on some of the extra line weight, so that the lines are now heavier and more definite. I've added some flaps on, you know, and I've really thought about, you know, if this flap is going up here, then this line it kind of needs to be parallel, even if it's not 100% parallel, because this line is wavy and so is this one, and it waves in a different direction to the other one. What I'm actually, you know, it's the intention that it's parallel, and the general overall direction is parallel. Spot the deliberate mistake, you know, I did that, but do you know what? Just leave it in. Don't go if it really bothers you, then just sketch another one by the side, but just leave it in. And we just work around it, and that's fine, okay, because the overall intention is it's a cardboard box and it's just one wonky line, and that's fine, okay. Couple of other things just to kind of create the illusions of these. I think we need to put in the insides of the boxes if you're doing some of them that are open, so we're going to do that, and I would also do the same on this one. Just taking the time to just check that these corners would line up, so it is actually sort of believable. So the next job is just to then add in some of the shading. Okay, now you'll notice that the shading on my example and on the one that you'll be able to see on your screen, all these lines are pretty much parallel. Okay, so I want you to start thinking about parallel lines, and it's just that hint of something there. Okay, and there's no right or wrong for this, it's just about getting the feel for it. So the bits that are on the inside, we're going to make sure that they're nice and shaded and nice and dark, just here, but then it's just about getting that hint of a shadow in some of those corners. So this is how I would approach this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the insides of these boxes. So I'm going to start adding these lines in, nice and parallel, just like so. I'm going to add the ones along the floor of the box, which I'm going to make parallel but in a different direction, so it shows that it's a different surface. And then probably what I would do is actually go back over these just to make them just that little bit darker. Notice that I'm not sure if you can see this on the screen, you might be able to see it when I do this one. Is that actually it is my whole wrist that is moving, even though it's just a tiny bit. It's my whole wrist. My hand is locked, my wrist is locked, it's my whole arm that's moving. Okay, I'm not having this, I'm not having this, it is my whole arm that is moving. Okay, and that is the secret to getting these parallel lines. Okay, I would probably make that one there a little bit darker, and I would go back in and add to these. So the next job, I'm just going to start adding just some of these parallel lines here on some of the corners, just to indicate that it's been bashed a little bit. But I want you to focus on just adding just a couple of key details. It's not a lot, it's just enough to give that kind of hint and an illusion that maybe my cardboard box has been a little bit bashed. Okay, they can go in different directions on the same face. They don't have to be all parallel. They can go in different directions, but each line within each group should be parallel. Turn your page again as much as you need to. On the flaps, it tends to kind of you might want to just make sure that they are parallel to the sides because it is cardboard. So I'm just going to go through and add to the rest of mine, and then I'll come back on just to wrap up. Okay, so there we have it. I have added my my extra little bash details on. You know, is it a masterpiece of art? No, it's not. Does it communicate that they're cardboard boxes? Yes, it does. And that's all that designing is. It's about communicating your ideas. So good luck, have a go, and I can't wait to see what you produce.